Thank you everyone for joining us to celebrate nearly 3 decades of redevelopment work here in Sugar House. As the redevelopment director of Salt Lake City since 2007, I've had the honor of seeing some of the redevelopment of Sugar House's transition, but RDA's work in Sugar House really started back in 1986. Since then, the redevelopment agency has worked alongside other city agencies, talented developers, business owners, consultants, and very dedicated community members and groups to complete more than 40 residential, commercial, transit, open space, public art, and infrastructure projects totaling investments of more than $26 million. And that's just in the RDA investment. Of course, there have been lots of private community dollars invested on top of that. And just since the inception of the S-Line, there have been upwards of $200 million of private investment just within a half mile of the S-Line, and several hundred million more to come that we know of and that's in the planning stages. 2014 was designated as the official end date, or the sunset date, for collection of tax increment for the Sugar House project area. We're still wrapping up some projects, and we will continue with the Sugarmont Plaza activities and the eventual redevelopment of that site. But for the most part, the RDA work has come to a close in the majority of activity here. This gathering is just our way of saying thank you to everyone who made our jobs possible, easier, and yes, even sometimes more challenging from time to time throughout the life of the Sugar House project area. We'd like to recognize, among many others, our current and former elected officials in attendance, as well as some former RDA staff who have worked in the Sugar House project area over the years. I particularly want to point out Tom Godfrey, who is here, who is the RDA chair at the time that this project area was created. And are there any other former elected officials in the room who were able to work at some point on the Sugar House project area? Any other former RDA staff members? Danny Waltz is here. Hey, fantastic. Well, this project area has been around long enough that many generations of people, both within the city walls and throughout the community, have been able to contribute to its progress. We're especially here tonight to thank our taxing agency partners, the Salt Lake City School District, Salt Lake City, Salt Lake County, the Central Utah Water Project, Salt Lake City Public Library, Salt Lake City Mosquito Abatement District, and the Metropolitan Water District of Salt Lake City and Sandy. And while not a financial partner, the Utah State Board of Education also sits on the Redevelopment Agency's Taxing Entity Committee. All of these entities have given us their support, their guidance, their help over the many years, and we want to thank them tonight.
All right, well, thank you all for coming tonight. I am Amy, I'm chair of the Sugar House Community Council. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about tonight, I kept coming back to this question that pops up of what is Sugar House? Why is it special? Why is it unique? Because I see comments throughout the years, and I get emails from people who make comments that Sugar House is dead to me. I avoid it like the plague. You've ruined it. I wish it had never changed. And I always wonder, and I think about, what Sugar House are they talking about? What iteration of Sugar House captured their imagination? Because I think back to my great-great-great-great-aunt, Margaret Smoot, who actually named Sugar House. Gave it its name, and I think about the impact they made creating this corner of what's now Salt Lake City. And I think back to my great-great-grandfather, John Burt, who actually had a company who laid the rail for the original trolley in Sugar House. And I think about the amazing impact he made in the transformation of Sugar House. I talked to my uncles, who are 12 and 10 years older than my mom. They grew up in a vastly different Sugar House than she did. They tell me about living on their little house on 27th South and Hartford Street, and how there was one other home near them. So when the sirens went off in the prison because a convict had escaped, they were scared because they had no neighbors. This wasn't that long ago, and it's certainly different from the Sugar House that I live in now. And I've been here for 19 years as a homeowner, and I don't know when that happened. I blinked and it was 19 years have gone by, but I have seen tremendous changes. And I am sure throughout all this time, all of these transformations came with angst and consternation. I've experienced it, and I know full well there's still more to come. But we do this as a community council because we care about where we live. I certainly have not been around as long as some. Judy Short, who's right over there, is going on about 20 years of volunteering with the community. Lynn Olson, who's around here, and it's her birthday today. Lynn has also been around for about that long. We have plenty of other groups with the Crack Coalition, Carly's Rail Trails and Tunnels. They have worked on that draw, the tunnel underneath 13th East, for 10 years. There was not everybody willing to do it. And what a transformation for our community. Friends of the S-Line came about 3 years ago to advocate for all those wonderful amenities that can be happening, to integrate these things into our community. So many people have made an impact because we really care. And we appreciate the investments we've seen in Sugar House. We know we're not done changing. I don't think Sugar House will ever be done changing. But as we look at the end of this RDA zone, I do want to thank the RDA and their commitment for all those years ago in creating this, but I really do want to highlight Ed Butterfield. He's been the project manager for, I don't know, 3.5 years. And the amount of work Ed has done for this, I just have no words for it. We as a community met with him many times and we would say, Ed, this is what we want. And he would go out, and it's not just the city, he's negotiating with property owners and all these entities, and he would say, I don't know, it's not looking good. But Ed, this is what we want. And he would go back out and come back and say, I don't know, they're just not invited, I don't know. But Ed, this is what we want. And then he'd get it. So we never shut up about it, but Ed never gave up. And for that, I really appreciate you. I have a heartfelt gratitude for having you on this project. And so many people will enjoy the things you helped create and not know, but I will. And so I wanted to take this opportunity to really highlight the work Ed has done and the relationship that Ed really built with us as a community. And so with that, I just want to say I'm done speaking, but thank you all for coming and being part of this community that so many of us care about.
My name is Stan Penfold. I am on the Salt Lake City Council representing District 3, but I'm fond of saying that the best district of the city is the district you're standing in the moment. So, E7, all right. I'd like to acknowledge once again Tom. He likes to take credit for everything that happened here at Sugar House because he was here at the beginning and says I'm a youngster and so I can't take credit for anything. So once again. Valda, wave to everybody. Valda worked for the Redevelopment Agency for 40 years and retired a couple years ago and was intimately involved with everything that happened here in the Sugar House area. I want to thank all of you for being here. One of the incredible opportunities in Sugar House was the involvement of the residents and in particular the community council in this neighborhood. There's a little friendly battle I think that goes on between the Sugar House Community Council and the Avenues Community Council about who's more active and who's better, but they get along really well together. So I'm proud to be from the Avenues, but I'm really proud to see how incredibly active and involved the Sugar House Community Council is in and the neighbors in this area, because everything you see in Sugar House today is absolutely influenced by what people who live here wanted to see. So thank you those who have been engaged currently and in the past. The goal of the RDA was to create a really interesting and vibrant walking neighborhood in Sugar House, and I hope we've accomplished that. There's still work to do, but when you look at where is the coolest place to live in Salt Lake City right now, I think it's got to be Sugar House. It is an amazing neighborhood. It's incredible how quickly housing opportunities fill up in this neighborhood. People really want to be here because they acknowledge, I recognize, I think, how what a cool neighborhood it is to be in. I want to just mention a couple of things that the RDA was involved with. Hidden Hollow, one of the very first projects in this whole neighborhood that was really a bunch of school kids who got together and put a focus on a completely neglected part of the neighborhood. And really, we can trace some of this redevelopment right back to those kids who got involved and wanted to see a really vital part of the neighborhood preserved and activated. The Sugar House Business District, that's been so important. The stabilization of the properties around the library, which has always been an important community partner. The artwork that happened at Hidden Hollow and the underpass now going into Sugar House, and that connection with the pathway and the Parley's Trail and the linear park. I mean, there's so many things that were possible because of the funding that was made available by our taxing entities to the redevelopment agency. The most recent renovation of the plaza out here, which I just love to see activated in the summertime. It was such, is Judy here? Judy is with Wasatch, and we were chatting about what a great amenity it is to have people sitting on that patio all summer, engaged with the plaza. It's exactly what we wanted and hoped to see in that area. And I think starting with programming next year, that's going to be a really fun place to be, in particular in the good weather. And finally, I'd like to thank the developers and the businesses and the residents who've put up with all of the construction. It's been painful. I hope you enjoy the results. I think it's an incredible neighborhood, and thank you all for being a part of that. Finally, I would just like to mention fellow council member Lisa Adams, who is actually the representative from this district. She's out of town and was unable to be here tonight, but she sends her support and her wishes. And once again, thank you all for being here. It is my great pleasure to introduce Mayor Becker.
Stan, thank you. This was supposed to be outside, but we love the rain, right? So we're glad to be here and glad to be inside. So you've been hearing a lot, and I think so many of us know about the RDA projects in Sugar House. But think about this. On your way home, regardless of what direction you're going, you are going to be going by a whole variety of those projects. And when you think about the 40-plus projects that the redevelopment agencies have been involved in, it has really played such a critical role in helping take what, at the time, almost 30 years ago, was a downtrodden neighborhood, and we have seen the turnaround to, as Stan described, this being probably the most sought-after living place in Salt Lake City. And that's hard for me to say, as a mayor, but it really is true. And it's fabulous to see this, and it certainly has created its own new set of challenges, but certainly the kind that we like. So the assessed market value of this project in 1986 was $54.4 million. Last year it was $248.7 million. That is a 350% increase. To give you an idea of how that compares to the rest of Salt Lake City, overall from 2007 to 2014, the city's market value increased by 80%, which is pretty darn good. But during those same years in Sugar House, the value increased by 305%. So that is incredible for this neighborhood. It's a great reflection of the community, the investments by RDA, and it certainly reflects well on the sugar beet business, doesn't it? So this RDA area is one of the oldest project areas, second only to Central Business District. And watching that evolution over time, over the last 3 decades, has been an incredible experience. Obviously, Amy did such a great job of describing its history even long before that. But it really reflects what happens when the redevelopment agency gets in and provides the kind of commitment and works with the community to be able to transform it into the success that we have today. And in commemoration of that, the RDA commissioned a watercolor by the artist, Pauline Reynolds, and she created a painting that illustrates the sunset of this formal partnership. But before we do that, almost all of you understand what redevelopment agencies are and why they're such an important economic tool. But for those of you who may not be that familiar with it, what happens is, and in this case was, an area gets declared blighted. We can't imagine that really today. But this area was in such bad shape financially and economically that it was declared as an area that was in desperate shape. And when we see what can happen, I don't know if there's been another RDA project that has ended where we've just sort of called an end to it. I don't think there has been one. But when we see a community coming together, when we see the leveraging that can happen through increment financing, which is where you pull the additional money that comes as you make investments in the community off to keep reinvesting and to commit to that, you can see what an incredible, powerful tool is when it's used well and used wisely. And so I commend Val to you and your predecessors, and now obviously DJ Baxter and the entire RDA team for being so smart and committed and really getting us to a point where for the first time that I'm aware of, we are ending an RDA area voluntarily. And what that means for all of us who are the receiving recipients of property tax dollars is we're back to normal. So everyone will get their full tax dollars instead of the city playing the role for the RDA of reinvesting in this area, because Sugar House deservedly is completely on its own and thriving, and it's what you hope for is to conclude this. I was in a meeting actually a few years ago with the school board, actually the state school board, and I told them we were anticipating this, and they were in shock because they've never seen that happen with an RDA. They've seen money get pulled away from them as a taxing entity and hoped that at some point they would get a full return. Well, now the full return comes home for everybody. So really, congratulations to everyone who's been involved in kind of making this happen. It's really incredible too. So now I get to, I'm going to need some help. So Stan, why don't you help me here? And Amy, why don't you come up and help me too? Is Amy still here? She went away. Amy, why don't you do this here? We're gonna unveil the painting.
No.
I'm just going to table it.
I'm just short. I can stand.
All right. All right, that's beautiful. So the monument obviously stands tall in this painting, and obviously just right out these windows. And we're pleased to give this painting to the Sugar House community on behalf of the Redevelopment Agency in Salt Lake City, and it'll be hanging in the Sprague Library. So that'll be a fabulous place for it to be for a home, and the memory of a successful completion for everybody. So we're also providing a framed copy to the taxing entity partners who are represented here today to express our gratitude for the support over these many years. And I'm going to name these organizations, and we can, if they'll come up, we can pass these to you. So from the Salt Lake City School District and Board, these are the names I have, so please tell me if I'm wrong, but we've got Janet Roberts and Heather Bennett. I didn't see Heather. Is Janet here? Oh, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
This is like getting money for that. And they're the biggest beneficiaries, I think, by the end, just because of the size of the taxing entity. The Salt Lake City Library, John Spears is here, and we also have Emily Charles. I saw Emily over here.
You know, Mary's our manager, Mary Maloney. Here you go. Are you good? I'm not good at photos.
And next from Salt Lake County, I saw Stuart Clayson, who's the Economic Director of Salt Lake County. See you. And Metropolitan Water District for Salt Lake and Sandy, we have Mike Wilson and Tom Godfrey. And last but not least, the Salt Lake City Mosquito Abatement District, Sam Dixon. So thank you all so much for your participation, the community, the businesses, all the taxing entities. This is really an incredible feat. I don't think anyone who hasn't sort of seen redevelopment at work and our redevelopment agents at work has an appreciation for what a remarkable feat this is to come to an end and to see this community thriving the way it is. So congratulations to everybody who's been involved. And if I had a glass, I would raise a toast. Oh, looks like I do. All right, here's a toast. Here's to Sugar House. May it live